Hello, hello, hello.
What up? How are you?
I am still like my adrenaline is still high. Hey, Matt.
I'm not using that word,
What word?
the A word you just used, because
Why?
the first words of the Crybaby song.
Oh, the
Adrenaline
crybaby.
left your soul. Cody Rhodes is
Got
still
your
a hoe.
ass whooped in the ring.
Won the Rumble to still take home an
Oh my
L.
God, can we get,
Whoa.
we gotta get that photo
I got
of
you.
The Rock and Cody up at some point tonight.
I ain't gonna lie, you beat me to the punch. 'Cause I was about to tweet it.
Oh, were you? I mean, you can
Yes,
still do both. You can
I
still
was
do both.
literally.
Hang this in the
I,
Louvre.
it was like right after we finished recording, and I
Classical.
was like, I'm about to tweet this, and I looked right on Twitter. Like, well,
Hey, Vaughn. Welcome back to TWG Fan Club, our weekly wrestling fan club. We come together on those Wrestling Girls Twitch channel. Myself, Queen P.R, with my crew, Brian H. Waters, Justin Rich, and my girl, Seindole, who is on her way to the club. Hey, Four Sides of the Ring. So, welcome back, everyone. Tonight, we are celebrating 40 years of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of had our WrestleMania season themed fan clubs. We did WrestleMania entrances. We celebrated the women at WrestleMania. We kind of did a little history lesson too
mhm.
on some of the women that were present during these big shows, WrestleManias that didn't have any women, and etc. Getting into the mixed tag matches, like we really, went there. And now it's our go home fan club for WrestleMania. And I have the biggest smile on my face because a week from right this moment, I will be in Philadelphia for WrestleMania 40. The madness. Because it's not just, hey, Krista. It's not just WrestleMania on Saturday and Sunday. And Krista B and I have done it. This will be our third or fourth time doing the whole week. It's countless events, countless other wrestling shows, countless social engagements. It's a lot. But this year, it's right in our backyard. It's right in Philly. I created the ultimate guide to WrestleMania. So if you are heading to Philly in less than a week's time, and you need a guide to where to park, venue policies, how far some of the events are from each other, tailgate parties, it's event schedules, merch inspiration. It's all in there. Make sure you check it out. It is pinned on all of my social media channels, and you can get everything that you need in that guide. It's been very helpful to people, and I'm glad because I basically made the guide I wish that Krista B and I had when we first traveled to Dallas for our first WrestleMania. So we are very, very excited for next week. Before we get into tonight's show, so last week we celebrated the women. This week we are kind of celebrating 40 years of the biggest wrestling show in the world. And what I love about WrestleMania is something that Stephanie McMahon said in a documentary, and I think it was the WrestleMania one um, A&E doc, and she basically said you're never gonna encounter someone in today's world that has never heard the word WrestleMania. So like everyone, you might not watch wrestling, but you've heard of WrestleMania and you know what it is, and you know how to um, kind of you'll recognize it. Hey, Rakasha. So we're gonna get into all of the history, all of the moments, all of the celebrities, all of the cities, all of the moments that make WrestleMania what it is. So I want
Mhm.
everybody to, in the comments, put in some of your favorite WrestleMania moments. Think back. Think about some of the old school ones that you remember seeing as a kid. Think about the moments that you share with people, casual fans or your families, or the ones that don't get talked about a lot. Because there's a lot of matches. Like, imagine having to rank WrestleMania matches. Like, it's like insane at this point. So we definitely want to get into all of that. Matt, I'm glad that you brought this up. We definitely have the city of Baltimore and everyone that was affected by the tragedy. We definitely have them in our thoughts. And tonight we're gonna escape. We're gonna escape. That's what wrestling's all about, especially WrestleMania. And we're gonna escape tonight. But before that, of course, we're gonna give an overview of everything that's going on in the TWG universe. I just have to just talk about this beautiful
What you got there?
book
What you
right
got
here.
there?
So what I have here is Becky Lynch's memoir, The Man, Not Your Average Girl. And I got it signed by Becky yesterday. Oh my God. Look, she wrote my name.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
You got her Jane Hancock.
I still got her Jane Hancock. And I'm listening to the audiobook, which I highly recommend. I recommend you buy a physical copy. Support books. But I also suggest you listening to the audiobook because Becky Lynch is the one that's telling it, and it's so warm and genuine and funny and personal and relatable. I would think I'm about halfway through the book so far. I think you're Akasha, and I would say the biggest theme is chasing your dreams. And I don't want to give any of the book away, but I'm not even going to start talking about it because I feel like I would go on a tangent. But I highly suggest you supporting this book, supporting Becky Lynch. Get the audiobook, listen to it. It's a great listen. It's only 9 hours, so you can literally listen to that in like 2 days. We're hosting a book club, Becky Book Club, hashtag Becky Book Club. We are getting together for 2 sessions starting April 13th, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite moments that surprised us, some common themes in the book. We're going to be joined by, this is a fan club exclusive now that I realized, but we're going to be joined by Stephanie Hypes. She's going to be a special guest. She's probably Becky's biggest fan, or at least one of the most popular, and just an overall amazing person, really awesome content creator. She's a co-host of Serving Heels and Faces, I believe.
Serving Face and Heels.
Serving Face and Heels, I think that's what it is. With Chrissy Love. And she just does amazing things in the space. She's an amazing person. So she's going to be joining us. So it's free. All you have to do is sign up to our Patreon and to be involved. I highly recommend, like I said, to get the book. We'll be doing some giveaways like we did for Bella Book Club. And I'm glad that Rakarsha is in the comments because we actually met through Bella Book Club talking about Nikki and Bree's memoir in 2020. And she's been a friend and family of the show and everyone involved in TWG ever since. So I love that for us. Also, every Tuesday you can catch Seindole B. Actually, I think she is. Oh, yeah, no. Okay. But you can catch her here every Tuesday for the most fabulous NXT pre-show. Last night she had Cornell from WWE 2K on the show, and I will bring her on to talk about that. Hello, beautiful.
Good morning. How you doing? I'm sorry. It was
the good morning.
A wild 10 minutes. It was a wild 10 minutes ago. But hi, what's up? How you doing?
Hey.
Somebody listening to this in the morning.
So, what's going on here?
That background is giving Prince.
Oh, like you the purple rain effect right about now, dude. Like
over the purple rain effect.
Thank you, Verizon, for coming through. But what's going on, y'all?
Yeah, I was just talking about your show last night.
Oh, it was a blast. It was totally good. The replay is up right now on the TWG channel, of course. Shout out to Cornell, who dropped a lot of gems last night. A lot of opinions. I had to get a little Remy Ma last night because people like to jump on him on X. We wasn't having that on there last night, but besides all that, we had a really good conversation. So yes, please if you appreciate everything NXT, the development of NXT, the Black and Gold NXT, please watch when you have a chance.
Always a really good time. It's funny, Vaughn, that you brought up the UK, because Krista B and I actually just dropped our long anticipated interview. I wouldn't even call it an interview because I really felt like we knew these girls forever. Wrestling is too much fun. The co-hosts of that show, they are so funny. It really felt like we had known each other forever, and we got connected with them through Wrestling's, another British wrestling podcast, a Black British wrestling podcast. I have to say that because there are not many Black British wrestling podcasts. So we love being able to elevate them. They were like, you have to meet the British version of you guys. And it was, we could have literally talked for hours and hours with AJ and Shids. They are just so dedicated to what they're doing. They recognize the significance of what they're doing, which I think is important. They know that they're the first of many, and they know that it's going to be a journey for them to kind of break out of that. Because if you go on YouTube and search wrestling, channels or anything like that, 9 out of 10 of them are going to be like British white guys, which is fine. But those are not the only people that exist, in the UK or that love wrestling. And obviously you can see with their show, Wrestling is Too Much Fun, and Rest Things, the quality, like clearly, there's talent out there that know how to share a different perspective about wrestling. So go check that out. It's on our YouTube channel and podcast platforms. It's going to be the first of many collaborations with our UK family. They're officially a part of the family. So I would appreciate if everyone went and checked out their podcast. So we're going to get into 40 years of WrestleMania. So I want everyone to take out of their minds their WrestleMania stories that they, that we all kind of talk about a lot because they're like fresh in our minds. I want us to really think back on 40 years of the biggest wrestling show in the world, the Super Bowl of wrestling, and think about those moments that really make this the show of shows, to where people that don't watch wrestling can enter these stadiums or these arenas and be like, it's the biggest thing. I always think about the singers that they hire sometimes to sing like those songs, those patriotic songs. And if you think about it, a lot of times that's the biggest crowd a lot of them have ever been in front of. Like I think about like people who are being honored for things and they stand in front of the WWE universe and it's a wild, larger than life experience. Ozzy Osbourne talks about how he was overwhelmed by, and I was like, Ozzy Osbourne is overwhelmed by being a part of the atmosphere of WrestleMania. Like that says a lot. So I want to get into all of those really, 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 really cool things. So shall we take a quick break and get into it?
I think so.
The show of shows.
All right.
Do it.
What's that phrase? The granddaddy of them all?
That was the most stupendous night in sports entertainment.
Ooh.
The showcase of the
That was
Immortals.
38.
The showcase of the Immortals.
But
yes.
I still like
Icon
that to this
versus
day.
icon.
Here we go.
It's here. I am so excited. Becky Lynch's memoir, The Man, Not Your Average Girl, has dropped, and I have it in my hands. So you know what that means. We are back with another virtual book club. You can join us by becoming a patron on Those Wrestling Girls Patreon. It is free. 2 sessions starting April 13th. We will be doing a special giveaway and also have some special guests. So be a part of the conversation. We will talk about everything we love about this book, everything that surprised us, things that we learned, how we were inspired, how we were motivated, and how much more we love Becky Lynch. So hope to see you there. I included a link with all the details for the book club in the description. So I'll see you then. I am so ready to talk about this book. So, one thing about WrestleMania that I do love is, I think now because we have 24, like those documentaries now that WWE does of like the day of, and then you can just, is like how it's like big for like everyone involved. From the wrestlers to production to the city to the like I just like how it's not small in any perspective. Like, even if you don't appreciate what wrestling is, the stats of WrestleMania are always going to be what they are. Like, whether it's site traffic, whether it's Google traffic, whether it's traffic. We've been in cities where even the city underestimates like the traffic jams that are going to happen. Like, we've had Uber drivers being like, I didn't think, a wrestling show like would have this much traffic. And it's just like, it's 100, the capacity is 100,000 people. Like, you didn't, you know what I mean? Like, so everything about WrestleMania is just big. And that's, I think, one thing I love most about it.
You know what? I'll throw some bail to the people that host the like WrestleMania. They don't take into account the other stuff. They just like, oh, WrestleMania, the Super Bowl and stuff like that. They don't take into account it's not just WWE, and it's not just one night. It's multiple nights. It's SmackDown. It's Hall of Fame. It's Raw at the Mania. But then you have WWE stuff. You have WrestleCon stuff. You have a lot of indie shows where everyone takes full advantage of. Cool. It's in Philly. Everyone flocks to it, and not everyone pulls up for WrestleMania specifically. You have tailgate parties. You have watch parties. You have all types of other stuff. And I think that's where, like, if you're doing Uber and stuff like that, you're like, yo, I didn't expect this, because I know the link probably holds like 85,000 people, but there's like almost like 1 million fucking people here for something wrestling related.
Right.
Facts.
You're preaching to Minnesota, like, get y'all together.
And that's where it's supposed to be next year, right?
And the link
it is heavily rumored to the point of it's almost done, and they just got to announce it. But yeah, I'm gonna play some Prince and shout y'all out. I ain't going.
Yeah,
wow. The link only holds 67,000. I'm just saying, there's a stadium down the street that holds 71.
Oh my God!
Hey, I got a window where I can say anything and nobody's going to clap back.
Fuck!
You know what?
Oh shit! I gotta keep my Baltimore
P,
standards.
You know what?
Minimum.
I would double down on that with you, but at the same time, if it's in Baltimore, that means I get to sleep in my own fucking bed for once and drive to WrestleMania. I've never had to do that. Like, yes, give me Baltimore.
Dang, now that I think about it too, I dead ass like have a plan to. I'd be like, I gotta be in and be out. I've never said that about being like at a pay-per-view for anything. Normally, you're just there. But then on top of that too, I have to think about, like, I know Pete said to think about what we don't normally talk about. Me and her were chilling in New York, where when everybody else who was leaving the stadium dead late had to like rely on NJ Transit and like the bus and the Ubers, and NJ Transit had shut down at midnight, and niggas was struggling to get home. I was like, I heard about it the next day at work. I was like, damn.
When
like,
I tell you we were out there for 2 hours in the rain, and then had to wait an additional half hour because they had a medical emergency on the first train. I didn't get back to Midtown till 3 a.m, and I didn't get back to where we were crashing at till like 4.
Because they don't think about that. Jeez. Like New Jersey Transit, mind you, homegirl Arrows tour, Taylor Swift had like 4 additional lines added. If they were like, if you're going to the Meadowlands to see Taylor Swift, you need to check the train times, because there's some trains that are skipping some caucus. I was like, damn, what was this when WrestleMania was going on? That's crazy.
No, like, no one go have a public fight on Twitter where New Jersey Transit blamed WWE blamed New Jersey Transit. No one will take responsibility for. Oh yeah, the show ended at 12:30, and then no one could take the trains, and then the Ubers were like 150 to go back to Midtown.
Do you think they would, since The Rock declared pro wrestling is cool again, that all the issues that you just brought up, Justin, which are valid, you think they would you think it would be, they'd be more prepared
for what, Philly?
In general, moving forward, because like Seindole brought up the Taylor Swift concert, so I'm like, now that you bring
Beyonce
that too, so I'm like, with y'all talking, I'm like, yo, y'all making great points. Do you think this would now?
So I think they will be more prepared, but this goes back to something we've had a conversation on in fan club before, where there are certain cities that are just made to host huge events. Like New Orleans is made to host huge events like this.
Oh,
Atlanta is
1000%.
made to host huge events like this. Miami's made to host huge events like this. Like certain cities can hold something like this, and some really can't. But at the same time, we know WWE loves to go to certain states, certain cities over others.
Well, it's funny you bring up Miami because, like, I know, like, me and Dave was talking about a few weeks ago how it wasn't the same. And this is what WrestleMania 28, so 12 years ago. It wasn't like you had at that time. I don't know if y'all remember hearing about $5 wrestling. That was like the indie show a lot of people were talking about.
I know,
but WrestleCon wasn't a thing. WrestleCon became a thing literally the next year. And you had like a couple events, but nothing crazy. It was all WWE Center, right? WWE Access, WWE Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame was on a Saturday night. Orlando was more stuff, but I felt, and I know, shout out to Corey, my Kicks Up My Fix. He did a lot of driving. It was still like a lot of fun, and you saw a lot of people like really hanging out at like Universal Studios and stuff. It was definitely a fun city. I see Dallin 13 mentioned it. I don't know about Jacksonville. Shout out to the bro Jay Bougie. He definitely said Jacksonville ain't it a few weeks ago on social. But then we also know the cons, you know. I don't think they're gonna.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, I've heard Jacksonville's not as bad as we think it is, but at the same time, I don't see any of the cons green lighting a WrestleMania in that fucking stadium.
Yeah, I think based on that agreement that company has with each other, they're like, you don't step on my toe, I'm not gonna step on yours. So
look at the
between them stuff. Between that and DC, I think Khan's like, well, I like it here, and WWE's like, all right, we ain't gonna touch it with a 10-foot pole. So
DC is different. DC, it comes down to FedEx, and I've talked about this. FedEx Field is arguably the worst NFL stadium, and it's not close. It's in Landover, so it's in PG County. So you got to drive to it. It's not easily accessible. You got to drive to it, or if you take
one way
mass
in,
transit,
one way
you're
out.
doing multiple.
That's crazy.
And the stadium itself is shit. The parking lot is shit. You got to worry about people jacking your shit while you're inside.
Aesthetically, it would be perfect for WrestleMania. You think about, like, I mean, granted, now this before like SoFi was built and Allegiant Stadium in Vegas was built, but like that was number 2 as far as size to Jerry's World. It would be perfect if the stadium was just constructed right.
You think if they did, they would give it like a test run, like put a SummerSlam,
Oh, they're going to tear it down. I think they're going to tear it down.
They need a brand new stadium, and I've said this.
Did you see the video when the person fell over?
Yeah, I did.
The person fell over. You have water issues leaking in like the suites and just it's like it needs a tear down and a complete rebuild. And until they do that, you're not getting. Well, Rumble they like doing in baseball stadiums. That's definitely out. They need a new stadium for Mania or SummerSlam. And I've said it, like if DC gets any of the big 4, it's going to be Survivor Series, because Cap One Arena, and especially that they renovated so it's even nicer, that is made for Survivor Series. But until they fix FedEx Field, we're not getting Mania or SummerSlam. That's where Baltimore will make more sense.
Oh, sorry.
But look,
P makes that face, but P forgets WWE loves running Baltimore. They love to run Baltimore.
That's what I heard.
It's all the way back to,
you know. But you know what's so funny is like, because I'm not like a sports person, right? Like I never thought about like the conditions of like stadiums and arenas, and then like you know being in New York, I don't have to worry about like whether or not we're gonna get like a WrestleMania and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's interesting, like traveling more now and being
that's
like,
New Jersey, Brian, and knock it off. It's New Jersey. We're not gonna.
No, y'all ain't had a WrestleMania since WrestleMania 20.
Goddamn, shut up. That was.
But real quick, I'm glad we brought that. Did y'all kind of wish that for traditional purposes they did 30 and 40 at the Garden around the time? Now we know going into 30 was all about the stadium.
No,
you didn't?
And
it's just too small at this point.
Like if you You know what? Fine, I do, because I love hugging my knees at the sight of excitement. Yes, absolutely. Posted at the Garden for nostalgia, but respectfully, I will not be going because I like my kneecaps. The way they constructed those seats, I'm not knocking the Garden.
Where do
I
you be
actually
sitting
it's
that
just
your kneecaps are
small.
in your
if
chest?
you're in the nosebleeds, your kneecaps are in your
See
chest
that, yeah.
because
You need, yeah.
Justin
what
said
they
that's
did was
not
to make more
me.
seats and upright was to tighten the upper level, and then on top of that they had the nerve to create like a balcony that you sit by yourself and look out through a plexiglass. And then wait, let's not stop there, you can also sit on bar stools all the way in the rafters like your name is Sting. So if we're gonna sit there and
That's
do
some hockey shit right
no
there.
thank you,
So
respectfully.
did you wish that
Thank you.
Sienna's mad. She was sitting
wait,
next to God up there.
so didn't you wish
Never
30 was
again.
that in Jersey then? Just to have the New York feeling.
No, because our weather sucks. And I'm like,
You
Chill,
ain't even want
chill,
28,
chill,
29
chill,
there.
chill, chill,
I
chill.
wasn't. Listen,
Chill, chill.
listen. I
All
ain't go
right,
there for a
so
reason.
this
It's
is
But
just
what
that
we're
was gonna be
not
my
gonna
point
do.
that I was gonna make to tie into Brian. Like, if you go back from WrestleMania 29 on, they've basically held it in really nice stadiums, either newly constructed or
right.
newly renovated, with the exception being Orlando for 33, which was
Right.
which we were all like, what the hell? Like, at least Tampa made some sense for 37.
Orlando was beautiful though. After what
Orlando's beautiful, but it's like that stadium was just like, ugh. But then when
But-
the way they constructed that stage and that ring is kind of like, all right, you made up for it. But if you look at everything else from 29 on, it's like brand new stadium. 31, San Fran, brand new stadium. Last year, LA, brand new stadium. 34, 30 and 34, New Orleans, they renovated that Superdome.
Okay. Sorry, time
P's
check.
like, we're
I
done.
just realized, I just realized it's 8:01. We watch Dynamite as a family, even more so now, because one Mercedes Monet is there. So can we play remind people about what the Mercedes moment is? So basically, we're going to be watching Dynamite as a family. When Mercedes Monet is on the screen, we just politely pause and watch what Mercedes is doing as she elevates AEW. So make sure you're watching that and let us know what's up on there. I do want to bring up my sister.
My man's is on. My man's
coming
is on there.
for
Sorry.
Be It. Well, welcome, KRISTA B.
Scarf.
Oh shit, Brooklyn.
You muted.
You muted, baby.
No, you muted.
Yeah, I shit. Yeah,
I
there
said,
you go.
do I sound fine with these headphones in?
Sí, hombre.
Hombre.
Hi,
So
family.
hi.
How are y'all?
Good. So we're celebrating 40 years of WrestleMania, but not the stuff that we usually talk about. We're going back 40 years. We're talking about what makes WrestleMania special. And then we got into what city should host next. It almost got real because we had some MSG slander. That's not something we ever gonna do.
I wouldn't say it's the worst, but
it's not the
worst. Sienna may make some valid points.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Why are we even entertaining?
You're right, girl. Because we did you did New York Mania.
I did do New York Mania. I did
Dallas, LA. We about to do Philly.
I'm sorry, you did New York Mania or you did adjacent New York Mania?
Oh,
listen.
Be politically correct here, people.
Wow.
Let's be real. Even I have respect. Come on.
Jersey gonna keep them Mania.
That's like me going to Brooklyn and saying I did adjacent.
3 of them,
I did
4 of
adjacent
them.
New Jersey. Some Survivor Series.
I'm
claiming
that would come from a Jersey person.
That would come from a Jersey person. Hey, birthday twin.
I know you're not talking. When was your last WrestleMania in your area? Okay, exactly.
I said you have more. Claim them. What are you talking about? I ain't even coming.
Not you. I'm talking about your little counterpart down there.
You're talking verbatim. I'll say Cero Miedo Nunca.
Listen.
Yeah. So yeah, I did do Mania in New York, because technically, even when it was billing it, it was MetLife, but it was still more of a New York show than a Jersey show. Just like with Rumble in Tampa. Yes, it was supposed to be in Tampa, but it was somewhere else, but it was still billed as Tampa. So I did Mania in New York.
Adjacent, but okay.
If it makes you feel better, Seindole, they call it New York, New Jersey.
We gotta give New Jersey the wins when we can. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, because they have both football teams here. I'm sorry. I'm a Jersey girl. Yeah, both football teams that barely win, first of all. We give y'all everything. We give y'all our land. We give y'all our train line. We give
Last I checked, we have 4 Super Bowls. We have more than Brian's team.
Ooh.
And Chris's team.
Here you are coming for somebody else.
I mean, my team only been in existence less than 30 years and got more than y'all had.
My team. Why we coming for my team? Why am I catching strays? I just got here.
He ain't forgot about that you did at the bar that
night. Between you and Britt for 3 hours, I had to hear that entire onslaught.
I'm glad I wasn't there by myself. Shout out to Britt Waters because thanks for because oh my gosh, that was fun. That was a fun night. That was a fun night
for y'all.
I'm done defending adjacent New Jersey, New York adjacent.
You got that. We gotta give New Jersey they wins. We'll
give Jersey their love. You got the Devils. That's actually a good hockey team.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so funny. We talk about WrestleMania cities, right? And you look at go back into history, and then you think about you want to talk about a city that catch a stray, Hartford, Connecticut. You know, it's like they really put WrestleMania there, but that's also a reflection on where the business was at the time. We talking about what many people call the worst WrestleMania 11. You know, and just that night, you talking about all the stuff that was happening, all the technical difficulties. But even when I went in that arena, I was there the night AJ Lee came back after Paige had beat her for the title, and then she kind of went away, and she came back and beat Paige for the title. I remember sitting there, I'm like, wow, this arena is just regular. They really had a WrestleMania here.
Hey, Pablo.
Hey, Pablo. What makes WrestleMania special?
But Brian, back to your point, has it been? I mean, when WrestleManias was still in arenas and not stadiums, did they ever go back since 11?
No, they wouldn't. You know, you talking afterwards: Anaheim, Chicago, Boston, Philly, Anaheim again. You know, but then they went to the stadiums because by 17, 18, 19, all stadiums. 20, obviously the Garden. 21 still wasn't, the business still wasn't popping. I mean, it's the Staples Center. So it's still that was when WrestleMania goes Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, that's the
my
Hollywood.
First time in the Staples Center. When I looked around, I was like, dang, the same way you thought about that about Connecticut. I looked around and I was like, they really hosted a WrestleMania here. And I was like, not even that, they really hosted SummerSlams here. But I thought, I mean,
I thought
it was pretty cool that they were able to get that. How did they get that closeness in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, last year was just weird because it was named Crypto, and I was supposed to, I wanted that as a diehard Laker
Your mama
fan,
called it Staples. We know it as Staples.
No, it's Staples.
Staples.
I wanted to. I didn't get that aura. I got it outside looking at the statues, but I didn't get that aura feeling that would have reminded me, oh, this is the house of WrestleMania 21, you know. But the last one that wasn't a stadium was 22, which was in the Allstate Arena, ironically, for in Chicago. But then, you know, after that, Ford Field in Detroit, which was so funny. You talk about cities, right? Remember last year, P and Seindole, when they mentioned WrestleMania and the whole place booed. And I was sitting there
pissed.
Why was that? I don't remember.
Because you think about the work that Detroit is trying to do, and it's all major cities. People were coming down on me on X. I was like, listen, the Minnesota WrestleMania might not be as bad as you were, because I work with people who waste their money on the Super Bowl, and I actually know somebody went to the Super Bowl, and they actually did not have a problem with being at that stadium. Now, you have to think about how much work a lot of these cities are actually putting into bowling for these cities. It's not just going there and being like, oh, we have a big fancy stadium where you can like literally custom and do whatever you want, so host it here. You have to think about, they have to look at the economics. Like WWE does like a full 2 years span of where they're going to put everything. So they're sitting there trying to show you the razzle dazzle of the city. So if Minnesota oh, we're banking on finalizing this thing, like it must have showed them the razzle dazzle of the mall, or how like the transit and the Ubers are the easiest thing to catch in Minnesota. There's like a billion hotels next to the Mall of Mall of America, and when you're done with the Mall of America, there's 4 different access points to get to that stadium, because they do for game day. They go to the mall, they chill, they hang out, they eat, they do this, they do that, and then they're straight to the stadium. Like I think Detroit was on the same boat, because when we were in Detroit, you guys can advocate that it was pretty live there. Like they had a baseball game the night before. They were still doing a WrestleMania party across the street. You know, they had SmackDown at the same state. Like they had a lot going on that night. So that must be the appeal.
Yeah. I don't know about a WrestleMania, but I think it's more like underestimating a city. Like and Detroit probably has that like inferiority where it's just like, yo, let us have our SummerSlam moment. Like why you bringing up, you know, because Philly's a major city too. I think Minnesota is gonna be one of those super cities. Like, you know, when you go to conventions, like work conventions and like those random cities, but those are the ones where everybody turn up because they think it's gonna be so boring. So Minnesota might be one of those type of cities.
See, I don't mind Minnesota for Mania because, like you said, they have to start expanding like these cities to make every state have that WrestleMania feel. For me, and this is me personally, it's the weather. Yeah. We don't even know what it's going to. Minnesota, we know it snows like it's nobody's business. So to have a WrestleMania in a city where we don't know, because clearly the groundhog lied, because look at where we at now. We don't know where the temperature stuff is going to be.
Do you know what the current temperature in Minneapolis is right now? 24 degrees. Imagine that on Mania Day.
Exactly.
Right, but you also have to think about
layer up.
I'm not saying nobody. I'm not sitting outside. I'm not.
I think about it kind of like
the stadium is a closed area stadium. Like it's a closed state of the art.
It's a dome, yeah, but then we gotta go outside after, before and after.
It's definitely 100% gonna be
train
cold.
that still moves in the snow.
You just gotta layer up, bundle up. Snowmania is too wild for me.
I like Snowmania. That boom, Black Thoughts.
See, I use wrestling as a way to like go to new cities. So I'm like, even if it's cold, then I have to bundle up and shit. Then it's like, at least I can say I've been to Minnesota. I experienced it. I was in the stadium, right? Like what Pablo said, I'll be drunk enough.
Yeah, that part. That's a given.
I want to know anybody from
I was about to say
Minnesota,
not me, because I've been in 34 and 35. I've seen what happens when a crowd is drunk and tired. Luckily, we have 2 nights now instead of both 34 and 35, where it's 1 night, and those went 7 hours. When that crowd dies, it dies, and you do not get them back.
There was some pops at 35 though, like when it was dying down and then it came back and it was there was some pops. Like it was just like it didn't die to where like you had to call a time of death. You did get some type of pulse movements in certain parts. But it was just cold.
Played
like
WWE 2K Years of WrestleMania showcase mode, and it was I just finished the Becky Ronda Charlotte match. You see it in everybody's eyes because they lowered the crowd on the games. I was like, all right, but you see it in people's eyes. Them niggas tired.
Did you see my eyes? Because I was there. I was exhausted.
Brian, they didn't start the entrances till after midnight.
Oh, I remember. I remember that night, and yeah, but it was.
I remember because I was at Legends. Like, I'm tired. Like, but like, what am I not gonna see the fucking first women's main event match?
The only thing I will say that 2 nights, in my opinion, hurt.
I'm not okay.
The only thing 2 nights hurt is the fact that I don't think we'll get 100,000 in one sitting, because Dallas had 100,000 people for 32. For 38, the numbers were like 80,000 a piece, which is obviously good. But I think that desire, like that goal to like break that record that it seemed like they was gonna go for. I don't think that's gonna happen now.
I think it might change this year though, because The Rock is
You
back.
can't fit 100,000 people in Lincoln Financial Field.
Whoa. I was just saying. Like,
No. It's not a shot at your team. It's just the way that stadium's constructed. Like Jerry's World is like one of the biggest NFL stadiums. Period. Like that's made for over 100,000 people.
Same with SoFi.
Oh, definitely so.
That's in ground. They made sure that had
SoFi,
enough
I think, is
seats in
like
there.
90. It's close, but not to Jerry's World.
Yeah, but like because I remember, if y'all remember leading up to Dallas 32, right? Everybody kept saying, "Oh yeah, the record," because obviously at that time the record was 93,000 for Hogan Andre. So now it's like, okay, we know we're gonna break the record, but how much more? And then I think the country music concert, which had the American indoor attendance record, but I thought like when they did 32, I mean when they did 38. I noticed when they did the numbers each night, it was like 80,000 here, 80,000 there. And then they total it. Oh, biggest record, 160 some thousand. So I think the 2 nights may have hurt that part. Wow, 29, the worst WrestleMania?
So let's get into that. Let's pivot and get into the worst WrestleManias. I only say that was the worst. No, it definitely couldn't have been the worst one because it was my first one.
It was your first one. It couldn't have been the worst.
I didn't, yeah. But the fact that the Bellas match got cut, which I learned later on Total Divas.
That was a tomato moment.
But I wouldn't say that was the worst one because as a casual fan at the time, there was a lot of people from my era on that card. So I got to see Chris Jericho, like not knowing any storylines or anything going in. I got to see Chris Jericho. I got to see The Rock. I got to see The Undertaker. I got to see, I want to say Mick Foley came out for a reason or another. But I got to see
the Hall of Fame that year.
Oh, maybe, but I know I got to see him, and I just remember being so, and I'm sure there are more. So that one I think was good in that aspect. Also, oh shit, another redacted person performed at that Mania. And I remember how the crowd, talking to moments the crowd died. The crowd died. First of all, wrestlers, and I remember telling my sister this. She was like, I didn't know that. Wrestling fans generally don't like music performances during wrestling shows.
No,
they just don't. They just and I've been in arenas where it's happened and I've seen the crowd die, whether they like the person performing or not.
I'm gonna say 50-50.
You really looked it up, Brian? Brian, you really just looked it up?
No, I'm working, but then it dawned on me what you just said.
Got it.
Because from when I was sitting there, I went with a friend and we were both like, we heard Diddy was coming out. I'm like, I was like, I don't fucking listen to this fucking shit. Like I listen to him all the time. They play I'm Coming Home more often here at that time than they did any of the songs. So me and him were like, you want to go get
the WrestleMania?
That was the song. That was the
bitch.
song.
And then what confused me was y'all couldn't build on nothing else. They built off of Hurricane Sandy. I'm like, all right, great. Like I get that. I adore that. I dig that y'all acknowledge what happened here in New York. But at the same time, it's like, and nobody asked for fucking Mr. Other Redacted to get his ass down the ramp and start pumping, like barely sing on top of that. P. I don't know if you remember, he barely sang.
I was so high up that
barely.
I don't know like what his audio was like. Like I was so high up in MetLife. What was it at the time? What was the other name at the time?
It was
Prudential.
No,
it was
Izon. In 2013.
It was Izon.
Izon, maybe.
Yeah.
No, the Izon Center, which was across the street.
Izon. No, that wasn't Izon. It was Let me hit up.
But yeah, my ass was like 2 or 3 rows from the top of the fucking stadium. Like I felt like I was rained on the whole time just because I was so high in the sky.
Yeah.
That but I do remember the crowd dying when the performances started when we were in San Antonio and for
it was the new Meadowlands Stadium.
It was the MetLife Stadium.
It was
It's always been MetLife.
Oh no,
yeah.
It was why I thought I had
the area is called the Meadowlands. She's right. Krista's right. The area
it was the Meadowlands Stadium before they changed to MetLife.
Okay.
Good old Google.
I knew I had like a different name or something, but yeah, no performances. Like just leave it. When we were in San Antonio,
you know what pisses me off? I'm sorry, they cut that women's match, but then you gave me P Diddy. Like y'all could have gave me the women's
Right.
match.
Oh
His
my
name is
God, yo,
not
you
P.
right.
Diddy. His name is
I
the
don't give a
Diddler. Get
I
it
don't
right.
give a fuck what his name is today, tomorrow, next day, in jail, out of jail. Don't care. Didn't need him
Not
at
the
all.
Diddler.
It
And
did
he
not
goes
make sense.
to the box.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is
Diddler goes
definitely
to the
in the
box.
box.
Absolutely.
Like-
But this is a performance. I wouldn't be mad that Matt just brought up Paramore for Bailey.
And I was gonna
Yeah.
bring this up because
Make it
Pablo
happen.
put this in the chat. Like, when we talk performances, are we talking for wrestlers' entrance? Or are we talking like separate from that, where they're out there to
Separate.
perform a song? Like, I'm thinking of like 33, where like Pitbull and Flo Rida did Green Light.
Bro, bathroom break.
Yeah.
That was my
Okay,
bathroom break that year.
So when it's not tied to a wrestler's entrance, then we're
Don't do it.
then don't do
Don't
it. But
do
if it's
it.
tied to a
It
wrestler's
was-
entrance, then we're for it.
In
Yeah.
my opinion,
Not including America the Beautiful, because Boyz II
Right.
Men killed that shit at WrestleMania 15.
We're not talking about like the opening ceremonies of the show. Like we
We're
know
talking about them
that.
Are
having
we talking
people
about
on
just
stage.
random standalone
Random people, like, we
performances
don't-
that nobody cares about?
like
No
we
one
didn't
asked for
need-
that. I think they were
Yeah,
trying to
we
give
didn't
like
need
halftime moment, and I get what they were trying to do. But then I think about that, and I think about the year before. The year before was like probably the most, like it was probably the most exciting WrestleMania to do in Miami. Like Flo Rida and
Mhm.
Pitbull.
what's his name, and
MGK.
Pitbull and MGK performing. That had an allure there because Miami is a party. They were in that area. That was already a party. You bring that shit to New York, I'm like, nigga, we didn't ask for the halftime Super Bowl halftime show. Like, we don't need that shit. We need you to give
We
us
don't
all the
need that
wrestling.
shit.
You need and then they had interrupted with so many things happening, like so many random things and cuts were happening. I'm like, y'all definitely could have gave us a Bella Twins match. Like, y'all definitely could have gave me the Funk was on a roll. Because I know there were little kids that were so bothered they didn't see the Funkasaurus. Like, mind you, like look at who the Funkadactyls and them were catered to. So it was just weird for me. I was just like, this is like who booked this shit? Like,
That
he
is
definitely
funny.
it just didn't make any sense in my opinion.
I mean,
He
you gotta
has
look
a
at
year
look at
before.
the person who was in the chair. Like, the whole point of WrestleMania is, yes, it's for some of it is for the diehard fans, but it's also the whole allure of WrestleMania is to get people that only tune in just for WrestleMania to stick around for like the Raws and the
Right.
SmackDowns
Nobody sticking
and the
around
other
for
shows.
that.
So when it comes to the Diddler, people know who the Diddler is and Diddy Dirty Money at that time and whatnot. So for people that don't watch wrestling on a regular, but they know him and they fuck with his catalog and his music, that's how we bring them in. Same with Flo Rida and Pitbull, where it's like I don't normally watch wrestling, and I have these people in my life. That's why I know this. Where it's like I have friends that only tune in for the big four. I have friends that only tune in for just WrestleMania. So that's
I
how
hear
you
you.
get like a Flo Rida, or like even let's say Taylor Swift did like a little like 10-minute set. That's how you hook people on, like, for the people that don't watch wrestling. Ooh, Taylor Swift's performing. Maybe I should give WrestleMania a chance and then stick around for this card, and maybe that can catapult into something else. Like, remember, I came back from WrestleMania 30 from not watching for a couple of years.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And it all started to be that merging of that. You know, like we went back and talked about what's that pop star? That was a part of WrestleMania 1.
Cyndi
Cyndi
Lauper.
Cyndi
Cyndi
Lauper.
Lauper, yeah. So I mean, that's how it all started. Matt bringing up the weekend, doing all of the like imagine. But then it's also like certain gets. Like if you really got the weekend to perform a song, like that's gonna go over.
Right, because it's the
It's
theme
just like
song.
certain artists, like because wrestling is a very niche, and I was online with a lot of them for hours and just overhearing the conversations. It's like I don't think music performances is sort of what they're looking for.
I think it would have worked that year, just to end it on that topic. If he had opened, would have made a lot more sense. But you cut like the middle. You cut like the middle of a really already exciting high octane WrestleMania. For you to do that, it was kind of like, all right, like I lost my boner. My excited boner is like, all right, gotta go pee. Like I gotta go get a hot dog. I gotta go get a beer. Like if he had opened, it would have made a lot more sense. Like the way, like and not to fray on it, like the people love them some Poppy on NXT because she always opened the show. She was the one to get people riled up and rocked up and excited because it made more sense. Imagine if she'd have came out after like an unsanctioned match with like with like that unsanctioned match they had with Cole and Riley. Imagine she'd have came out at that shit. They would have looked at her like, girl, like, do you not just realize what we just like went through? Like, what are you doing here? Like, where were you at the start of the show? So that was my take. If you're gonna do that, do like a opening with it. If that makes sense.
Okay.
No, that definitely. I think it does too, and I think it still hooks people, like you said, Justin. Like if you order it for your child, order it for your child. Well, I'm old. If you turn on Peacock for your child, and your favorite artist happens to be performing, like you might just sit and watch the rest of the show with them. You know.
Wow, somebody said 5 on Twitter.
Damn.
WrestleMania 5 being the worst.
I can't agree.
Okay, so talk about the card, because not everyone is WrestleMania historians.
Yeah, y'all mentioning numbers and I'm
some
confused.
context on
WrestleMania 5. The Mega Powers explode live in the plaza that's in Jersey. I won't say the name of the plaza. You already know what it is. But also key matches on this card without going through the whole thing. Mr. Perfect versus the Blue Blazer. Jake the Snake versus Andre the Giant, which is interesting. But also the Hart Foundation taking on Greg the Hammer Valentine and the Honky Tonk. But I would have said the semi-main event that would have been like the next up as far as attraction would have been Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior coming in undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. But this is where he lost the Intercontinental Championship. So I wouldn't say it was the worst. I would say 2, honestly. I always said that them trying to go 3 places was crazy. Yeah, Pablo Hogan Savage. But yeah, I would have said 2 would have been like y'all really like y'all had this epic night for WrestleMania 1. Then next year you trying to go in 3 different places. It was confusing. Even trying to like go back and watch it. And then the card was cool, but it just wasn't. Real quick.
It was mid.
AEW, I want to do this plug if y'all don't mind.
Please.
Private Party. You got one choice to make. One choice. Stan Michaels.
Yes. You bet.
King R&B.
The king
he had
of
the
R&B.
best audition. He swiped the board. I'm sorry, 10-10-10s. Like you don't even have to decide.
Yeah, that was a really
shout out to him too.
Yeah,
because I found out late, but I didn't get a chance to go. He wrestled this weekend at the American Dream Mall, which happens to be across from MetLife Stadium. So he wrestled out he wrestled out at the mall this week. I hope they bring it back because from what I saw, they packed out the place on a Sunday, and that mall don't got no shopping clothes, so they need to pack it out. So shout out to him. But yes, he needs to be a private party. Because they got blue law, they don't let people open the clothing store, so a girl ain't going in there if Zara ain't open. Now, I hope he gets it again, but I hope so too.
Jobber Slam, when he sang as he was beating up Miles Hawkins, and he used his hand as a microphone.
That was so funny.
Yo,
that was funny.
He did like a half shot lariat and then busted out into a full harmony. I was like, yo, this guy, he don't miss.
Not even.
I love him. Shout out to him, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So can I do a surprising Justin moment for WrestleMania takes? Because even though I've talked about this on Fan Club and I have so much nostalgia for this WrestleMania, when you actually go back and look at this card and look at this show, WrestleMania 7 is not a good show.
It's not a good show.
It's really a one match pay-per-view, and it's really for Warrior and Savage. Like, think about it. So you have the Hart Foundation lose their tag team titles to the Nasty Boys. It's the only time the Nasty Boys ever held a tag team gold. And then eventually you have the separation of Bret Hart and Anvil Neidhart. You have a Legion of Doom squash match. You have a forgettable Earthquake and Jim the Anvil Neidhart match. You have a forgettable DiBiase Virgil match because the SummerSlam match is way better. You have a lot of fillers on that card that's like, it's cool for nostalgia, but none of the matches really hit, and no one gives a fuck about that main event, which is Hogan and Slaughter for the title. So it's really a one match, just like 29. Just like 29 is like Undertaker and Punk, and it's really a one match pay-per-view. That's how 7 is. But I think 29 has more that hit versus 7 that's kind of like, You can kind of skip over this, skip over this, skip over this. Like, why do I care about Tenru and Kitaya? Like, nah, you can skip past that.
We're not going to disrespect the only WrestleMania to feature the great Kerry Von Erich. We're not going to do that.
Carrie.
Moment. Memory, though.
He wrestled Dino Bravo. Those
nostalgia.
Are two Dark Side of the Ring legends.
Those are two ring legends. Yep.
But how many times are you going back and watching that actual match?
Knowing Brian, he's gonna go back.
All right, so and somebody
I'm about to be like, do you know who you're talking to?
I ranked all my favorite WrestleManias. WrestleMania 7 falls right at 25.
WrestleMania 7.
Can you go off that card, please? Let us know who was there.
Justin just did.
For what, 7?
When Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan.
So Hogan wins the title in the main event. The best match was Warrior and Savage, career-ending match. You have the Hart Foundation lose the tag team titles to the Nasty Boys, and then it's a lot of Legion of Doom squash match. Like, it's a lot of like quick matches. Like, Virgil has like his WrestleMania moment by technically beating DiBiase, but he gets his moment in SummerSlam like later that year. So, but then the rest of that card is like, it's filler, but you're not going back and watching this match, except to go like, oh shit, that's Kerry Von Erich. Oh shit, that's Dino Bravo. Like, that's really the only, like, oh shit, that's the Rockers. Like, other than that, it's like, you can skip past this.
We're starting to hit that steroid era of like the steroid trial. So we're starting to kind of go downhill. But WrestleMania 6 was just so good. You know, you got the Hogan Warrior. You have Macho Man and Sensational Sherry versus Queen, Dusty Rhodes and Sweet Sapphire, you know, so it's like over time, because it's been 39 of them, I can see that's why I have it like right in the middle. I don't think it's a horrible card. I know.
I mean, that's why I said it's unpopular, because I
love
WrestleMania 7, but it's also like you can skip past 3/4 of this shit.
Yeah, like of the modern era, the one I'm quickest to skip, to be honest with you, no, not at all. 27.
I'm just thinking of the Undertaker Brock match.
That was 30.
I don't want to hear about that.
That was 30?
Yeah.
That was 30.
Yeah, 33 is Brock and Goldberg. The actual
That's in my top 10.
Yeah, 33 is Brock and Goldberg, the actual good Brock and Goldberg match. You have the Fatal 4-Way that Bayley faces with Sasha, Charlotte, Nia. That's really good.
Yeah, that's good.
You have AJ Styles. You have AJ Styles, Shane McMahon, which is really good.
Yeah,
you have the tag team ladder match with the Hardys return, which is really good.
That was great.
It's really watching that, and it's tears every time.
It's like
every time.
Yeah, so like
I know what's gonna happen.
So 33 has the same problem 34 has, where like the first 2/3 of the show is really, really good, and then the last third just falls off a fucking cliff, where it's just like, bro, you put this together like this? Oh my god.
33 made me cry though.
Naomi, you said 27 was bad.
Or Naomi.
Yeah,
27 is bad.
What was 27? Please refresh me.
27 wasn't that bad. That was remember when Michael Cole had finally beaten Jerry King Lawler and he came out in that ugly ass onesie, and so
the worst
was like the special
match
referee
in WrestleMania history.
That was
Singlet Cole.
First of all, get off my neck. Second of all, it was meant to entertain, and you wouldn't have long-term booking without the Miz beating John Cena because of The Rock. So,
I mean, it'd be great if Miz can actually remember that match.
Continue to be. I only like the only match. I'm not gonna lie. The only match I liked on that card was watching that No Holds Barred match because it's Triple H. So and even Punk like getting his ass kicked. I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, because Randy Orton though, he deserves his ass kicked. But that's really what I remember from it. But it was it was Cody Rhodes win against Rey Mysterio, and then they like put the Big Show, Kane, Kofi Kingston, and Santino Marella against the Core. Which was like what was left of the Nexus.
What the fuck is the Core?
It was, remember when Wade Barrett had lost control of the Nexus, so he like created the Core from the members that had left to CM Punk's version of the Nexus.
Okay.
So that happened, and then you had Edge going up against Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight.
That one's good.
Yeah, that match was good. And then No Holds Barred with Undertaker and
no, skip
Triple
past
H.
that.
That shit was brutal.
Any No Holds Barred
that showed his age.
I'm gonna be glued for. because it's just like
And he
Cerebral
lost.
Assassin added. I mean,
Yeah,
of course,
and he lost
because
because remember the
WrestleMania.
lore was that the streak that people thought that the streak might have been over because No Holds Bars was kind of like Triple H's thing, but then again it was the Undertaker, so he won, of course. But I felt like that also told the story because then it started that back and forth between him and Shawn. Like, listen, you can't beat him, but I can beat him, and then he didn't beat him, so then it was like you can't beat him, but I can beat him, and then next year you get him and Shawn again. So it was like a long.
Better. The
Yeah,
build-up was great. That's the thing that was
yeah.
disappointing. And I think a lot of people feel the same way about 29 being a disappointment.
And this also had those women's matches too. So just, you know, who gave a shit.
Yeah, they both had like incredible build-ups, but then it was just...
It had space for opportunity.
What hurts that Triple H Taker match is the fact that the next year at 28, that Hell in a Cell is so fucking excellent. I think that's where hurts that No Holds Bar, where it's like,
because it was the first one,
but this other one was so much better.
But I still think their one at 17 was better than both of them. Obviously, they're both
17?
younger in their prime. Yeah, the thing about that was when they would book WrestleMania like a car crash, like everything was. You know, the calm down match was the battle royal, the gimmicks battle royal. But before yeah, but going in this match before you get another incredible matchup between Rock and Austin, like that match I was just watching the other day. It was incredible.
But can you really compare their fetus errors to their elevation errors?
What?
Like they were still they were still.
The current weather is 48 degrees.
Alexis.
We know
even Alexa's like, yo, did she just say fetus?
I'm talking about like without.
Can we put that in the box
matches,
too?
What fetus?
Fetus era. That's just crazy.
Okay, well, their junior era, because to me that was kind of like their junior era. Compare that to the match they had. Okay, doesn't matter. What matters is you really can't compare the ladder of which one is better. Because me, when they were older, it had more heart in it back in the future than it does at that WrestleMania. Like it has more heart in it to me. That No Holds Bars, those Hell in a Cell matches have more heart than just like a regular ass. Oh, Triple H versus Undertaker. Oh, Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. When it had more stipulation and when it had like I have to prove something more into it, it has better heart. Like don't get me wrong. If you want to book on a whim, fine. If that's the way it was gonna be, that's the way it's gonna be. But when they had more build of like, listen, I gotta whoop your ass to prove a point. I gotta whoop your ass for your legacy. Because listen, we all like a story now. Guess what they were trying to do back then? Finish a goddamn story. So when you look at it now, everybody wants to finish the story so bad. Because it means more when you base it off of that and not just jamming the card together or putting your best two together to make sure, it's entertaining. That's where I'm getting at with that. So to me, if I look back at that WrestleMania, I'd be like, okay, it's a regular match between the Undertaker and Triple H. But if I look at No Holds Bars, I'm gonna look at, this is a settled
They've
score.
Been telling this story,
right?
Another layer to this story.
That makes
respect you and respect to disagree.
All right, fair.
Okay. But that makes me think about because a lot of the arguments that we're making about what makes a WrestleMania good or bad is like the ones that come after. So you were thinking about it like in context to the other ones. So like my question, I guess, to you guys is like what WrestleManias didn't age well? Because I'm sure there's some in the moment that felt like they was lit, and then it's like, but that didn't lead nowhere. That didn't lead nowhere.
26,
33.
33.
Wait, why the failed engagement?
That one too. Yes,
the failed engagement.
Yes. Next WrestleMania, it was tense.
The failed Undertaker finale.
Yes.
Oh, that was such a good finale too.
Botchamania is what we get. That's another Botchamania.
A good finale.
That was.
Do you remember that match?
No, she ain't talking about the match. We're talking about the leaving in the ring.
Just stuff in the ring.
That was
so
perfect.
Poetic.
That was perfect. Then he come back, and it's just like what?
Because I remember
when
he did that for me, who went to 34 and was begging for fucking Undertaker to come in and wrestle because I'd never seen a fucking Undertaker Mania entrance, and he did that for me.
That's the reason why I've been able to accept it because of that alone.
Undertaker entrance.
But man, I remember sitting there that night when we like sitting in the room, me, Corey, and Glenn, and we like talking about it, and we pull up social media and we see the stuff in the ring. Everybody's like, "Yo, chills." Then it was like, who be the person to take it out? And then you saw people crying. You saw literally grown people crying, thinking we all was like, yo, how cool
That's our
we just watched
childhood.
the Undertaker's last match, and we got duped for a pandemic Undertaker.
I mean, let's continue on WrestleMania
Nobody saw
33.
his
Look
last
at the
match.
rest of that card. Like, all right, so Bailey retains at WrestleMania 33, and immediately her moment gets fucking put to the side for Alexa, who comes over to Raw. That's where you get Bailey, this is your life. Alexa takes that title immediately off Bailey, and that kind of ruins Bailey for a minute. You know, we have yet another Brock Lesnar title reign that no one really wanted, which led to a match at 34 no one really wanted. And so Goldberg really took that title off of Kevin Owens just to have fucking 2 months of, oh, look at me, I'm a champion, and then I'm going to go retire. So you ruined Kevin Owens' momentum on purpose for your own WrestleMania moment that led to nothing. Naomi becomes champion, and Naomi gets fucking stuck with Lana for 3 months for like a title reign. She doesn't get to wrestle anyone of note until SummerSlam, where she loses that title to Natalya, because at that point Natalya had just lost her dad. So like so Naomi's whole entire time as champion is really like she didn't really get to do much with it. It's that wrestle Lana, who's greener than eggs.
You're talking about me and fetuses. It's greener than eggs, really.
Hold on. Did y'all see this? WWE created a new belt.
No.
Oh, the Speed Championship.
Oh yeah, the Speed
Championship. They done pulled that 24-hour championship out the trash.
They didn't learn from them stupid boxing matches.
Boom. Pablo puts up a great point too, because remember, going into Mania 33, who had the most momentum? Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, and the list of Jericho, and they fucking squandered
Pablo,
that shit.
I'm sorry. With all due respect, family, that was not going to be a great main event. Did you see that match? There's no way.
I think Mr. Redacted handcuffed the hell out of that match. It wasn't going to have a chance.
Jericho does not have good WrestleMania matches without Shawn Michaels.
Let's get into it.
AJ Styles, trash. Fandango, trash. William Regal, mid.
The AJ Styles one wasn't trash, but it was mid.
Yeah, no. Let's talk about how his match with Punk wasn't that great, but it was better at Extreme Rules. Let's talk about that
too.
The match of WrestleMania was shit, but the Extreme Rules one was great.
And guess
Let's
what?
talk about that.
Going into that, all the people kept saying everywhere, all the message boards, this is gonna be the Savage Steamboat tonight. Everybody's coming here for Rock and Cena, but Jericho and Punk gonna steal the show. It's gonna be Rock Cena. It's gonna be Savage Steamboat. Trash. People was about to fall.
I love me some Phil Brooks, but I'm sorry, waste man. I'm sorry.
Pablo said Edge Jericho at 26 was Jericho's redemption.
No, it wasn't. That match was boring too. Edge, only 2-time Royal Rumble winner to fail at WrestleMania, and it started right there. And the people was calling for Jack Swagger to cash in that night.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know how bad that be when people want Swagger as champion.
That's wild.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm sorry, Jericho. I've been going through this train. Used to be,
Used to be a Jericho-holic?
He sure did.
I was
Jericho redeemed himself in the Tokyo Dome when he worked for New Japan. For those shows, because those matches are actually like really good.
No, those was incredible.
We went back to Omega.
But I also feel like they gave, like I said before, previously, like when you go from WWE, when you so restricted and you go back to Japan or you go to wherever, you have more of a range to do whatever it is that you want to do.
Oh, 1,000%.
And the redemption part is because Jericho has that range to do whatever it is that he wanted to do that he couldn't do in WWE, especially at the time where we're in the PG era and all the little children is watching and everybody crying and snotting and bitching and moaning about whatever it is. But it's not like what it was before.
I can't believe I'm about to say this.
I call shit because you had the PG era, and then after that WrestleMania, what does Jericho do? Like, for example, I talk about Punk. Literally took a bottle or whatever it was, a gin, and made it very clear it was alcohol, and then poured it on him, and then busted the glass open on him. So it was like peak, like it was like PG-13 or PG-8 or like peak.
It just
almost
wasn't
rated R era.
bloody.
It just was, it wasn't the bloody. Like, so creative control, I get it, but like could really call the PG era, considering the fact that like they would then have a woman like make out with half the roster. No, not really. Like they were still parading Kelly around in Maxim. I just don't. I don't know.
So it wasn't
I don't
PG-13, it
know.
was
the new
TV
Playboy.
14.
It was like TV 14. There you go.
TVMA 14. What I'm saying is like when it came to the wrestling stuff, I don't talk about I don't care about the creative stuff. The wrestling stuff, he had more to do. That's why he was able to redeem himself in New Japan after them shit matches or whatever that I have to refresh my memory on, because the hell I used to like Jericho.
But that's why I can't call him a GOAT, because as much I can't believe I'm about to say this, but HBK made it work. He literally changed his whole character from what he used to be and always found ways to tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, HBK is that dude, and we give him his flowers for that.
He's Mr. WrestleMania or no?
No.
I think he was one of the greatest the one of the most spectating acts of WrestleMania. 1000% he'll go down in history as that. Him and the Undertaker are in that line. Because as far as like somebody he did attract people at one point. We talk about people who would probably watch WrestleMania for that one person. He was one of them. So I give him that. But as far as being Mr. WrestleMania, depends.
Yeah, I never understood why they called him Mr. WrestleMania back in the day.
Yeah, it was just him really saying, because he had got into back and forth with Kurt Angle and he just blurted it out and they ran with it. But far as, I mean, Mr. WrestleMania from 1 to 10, 1 to 9 is Hogan. But far as best matches for Mr. WrestleMania, it's Macho Man Randy Savage from the earliest standpoint, from the actual in-ring. But the guy who put the butts in the seats in the main eventer is Hogan. Nowadays, it's Roman Reigns, without a shadow of a doubt. That's the one who's closing it. That's the one who's going to go down after this next weekend as the most WrestleMania main events, you know. But then you also got to throw John Cena in there, because no matter where you put him on the card, after WrestleMania 20, wherever he was on the card, his match was important. It was a special attraction. So that's even last year with Austin Theory, it's like, okay, you know what I mean? We probably won't ever talk about that match that often because Cena's had so many WrestleMania moments, you know, but even like Triple H, WrestleMania utility player, you know, he's going to have more, he has more losses than wins at WrestleMania, and he should have even more losses, but you look at WrestleMania 2000, but he's never going to go down as a Mr. WrestleMania, but he's had the most matches and the most, you know, as far as the supporting cast. And you can even make the same argument about Randy Orton.
Brian coming with some compelling cases.
I have Brian got me on here as a guest thinking. I'm using my brain power and thinking. I'm a guest.
Do again.
I watch WrestleMania all year round. So I take a break from it next week. You ain't going to catch me watching nothing. And then I'll
you are gonna be watching WrestleMania live and living color.
I hear you on Hogan. I hear you on Reigns. I hear you on Cena. You make great points. For me, I think of who's the first person that comes to mind when I think of WrestleMania, and for me, it's Taker. You talk about the birth of the streak, the fact of the streak became a thing. You also think of, regardless if he has a title or not, people also tune in for who the fuck is wrestling Taker, because not everyone gets to wrestle Taker. We know this for a fact. So now Undertaker became his own special attraction, and especially where
that was before we knew how to, you know, revamp the creative side of stuff. Brian.
Yeah, and then like when we knew like his
again. Oh no,
8-Ball did. I mean Albert. So you know that after 20, that's when he really became like, okay, you know, when the streak started to matter. But Undertaker had a lot of duds in the beginning. It's just that the reason why you also were. See, like
you also weren't tuning into Taker matches for like 5-star classics. You were tuning into Taker matches it's Taker. You're getting the entrance. Who is he wrestling?
Yeah, but like if you look at like the beginning of their careers, like at first I thought Miz was going to be the next person to have that streak until he lost that. What was it? WrestleMania 26 or 28? No, 29. I thought they was going to go with him. No, actually, he won the title at 29. But you know, Undertaker, it's just one of those things that just happened to fall in. I was like, oh, okay, here, you know, he wasn't going to lose the Snooker. He wasn't going to lose the Jake because he was the young boy. They was putting him over. But then after a while, it was like, all right, here, damn, you know what? You got the streak. Let's build off of it. Then that became a thing.
Right.
Is it safe to say you can't really find like a Mr. WrestleMania unless you go like in phases? just because
Yeah.
it's been like 40 years. So it's like,
Yeah.
so I would
Yeah.
say like you were saying, Brian, like Hogan, then maybe
He said Randy.
He said Savage was
Savage.
done.
You're going in
He got-
phases.
yeah.
I feel like they could be a
Austin.
Mr. WrestleMania for the eras, like you saying, P, for those
Mhm.
specific eras. That's what you're saying. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
There can be more than one for that golden era. You got Hogan Savage for whatever that era was between Golden and Attitude, when you had like Shawn Michaels,
Shawn
doing
and Brett.
whatever he was doing. Yeah, Brett, and then you also got Shawn and Razor with that ladder match at WrestleMania 10. You have that little whatever, and then from Attitude era, that's when I feel like that's when Taker comes in and kind of steals it. But then you have some key points and players in there too, because you have the gems between Rock and Austin.
Mhm.
You know, you have those gems, and you have Triple H and whomever he decided to put a sledgehammer through of whatever given moment. You understand? So it's definitely gems. It's no one singular Mr. WrestleMania.
Right.
And now we coming in now. Now we got women. Who would you
I was
say is
gonna
Mrs.
ask who
WrestleMania?
I was
the
just gonna.
women the women is easier. It comes down to two. It's Charlotte and it's Bianca, because Charlotte has always been, ever since WrestleMania 32, Charlotte has been in a high profile match at WrestleMania that she's been on. She's never been in like a tag match or a battle royal. It's always been title match, whether straight up, triple threat, or fatal four-way. But Charlotte is in a title match in high profile. And the other one is Bianca, because Bianca is undefeated. And look at the people she's beat on that road. She's beaten Sasha. She's beaten Becky. She's beaten Asuka, 3 future Hall of Famers. So you can make a case, had Charlotte not gotten injured, we would have gotten Charlotte and Bianca this year of like who truly is Mrs. WrestleMania. Because
I love that we can still get that.
We could still
and
get
we could get that next year where they really fight it out, and then Bianca be like, bro, I have yet to lose at WrestleMania. You've taken some else, but at the same time, Charlotte will be like, every time I wrestle at Mania, it's must see. I don't do battle royals like everyone else. I don't do multiverse matches like everyone else. Like, people want to watch Charlotte Flair wrestle for a title against anybody, and that's how you set up Charlotte and Bianca. But those are the two for the women.
I don't even need her to wrestle for a title. Like, if you give us Bianca Charlotte, it doesn't even have to be a title involved. It's just the name of it in itself.
Need a title in
who is Mrs. WrestleMania for that title, because Bianca made history. She's a 3-peat. Only African American woman to do so. Undefeated. Charlotte is definitely defeated at Mania because Rhea took the belt off of her.
And I think too, Bianca's the first woman where, like, it just felt big in a way. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you kind of knew she was gonna win. Like, they really elevated her Mania matches to be like the match, and like not every Charlotte match felt that way. Like, we talk about Mercedes moment.
P just loves that. So
she looks so good.
Yes, it is hashtag Mercedes watch, and the GOAT, or should I say the
yes, she looks
pulled
so
up
good.
in a pink ensemble.
Yo,
I'm loving them glasses.
Living in her light.
Yo,
I love it.
She looks amazing, for real. She looks so good.
It's giving, it's receiving.
It's receiving. It's the manifestation. It's everything. It is everything. But guys, P, I love you for letting me be on. Love you all.
For sharing your WrestleMania love.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have a few things in the works, so just stay tuned. I'm probably going to be stealing Brian for something very, very special, very, very soon. So please stay tuned for that. Unless he has me thinking, then I'm just like, hey, this can't work. But no. But thank you.
God, Black Thought's gonna be at Wale Mania. Yes,
it's got to be Brooklyn. Thank God.
Ooh, it's gonna be good for him to get some fresh air, you know.
All right, not too much.
He be trying. He gonna come. He don't come outside, so I'm happy.
He be coming from.
What are we doing here right now? What are we doing? As I'm trying to exit, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to sneak one as I'm trying to leave.
He be coming for me.
We were coming for WrestleMania.
Yeah, you did. Listen, he be in the chat wilding
for P, and I be teasing it. I'm trying to go to sneak, and I'm trying to leave. You don't do that. P, you from
Black
New
said
York.
he got to meet his
You don't do
wife.
that.
I mean, it's a New York thing. She just had to say, hold that shiv.
Hold that.
Hold
But,
that. $1.50.
$1.50. Yeah, so thank you all for letting me be up here. I got some things in the works. Please make sure y'all stay tuned. Keep going with fan club. I'm going to be watching in the comments. I'm gonna make some tacos. And see y'all tomorrow for Thirsty Thursday.
Hey.
All right.
Love y'all all.
Oh, that's
Bye.
gonna be a turnout. Bye, baby. Love ya.
Love y'all.
So another mania that everybody was bringing up was the pandemic mania. So I have like a love and a hate for WrestleMania 36 because one, I was just happy that we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it was really interesting that it was 2 nights, all of, like, you know, for the first time. I loved both cinematic matches. Like it really, like when WWE is pushed into a corner and they're forced to be creative and innovate and rethink things, they are one of the best at that. Like they should have marketing case studies done on them like in every fucking marketing school because they will still bring it. And then what else did I love about it? What I didn't love about it though, of course, is just like the no crowd was it was very unsettling. Like just having 0 people and just the commentary. So, and then just talking about what we talked about earlier, like how Mania just always feels so big and like it's in these huge ass stadiums, hundreds of thousands of people. And then it's like, no. How did you guys feel about WrestleMania 36? Were you guys shocked that they were going to still do it? Were you guys nervous? How did you end up liking it?
So I'll actually defend WrestleMania 36 because Vin, you got to remember this is at the beginning of the pandemic when everything shut down. You talk about everything shut down. All the sports leagues stopped. They all hit pause. New Japan hit an indefinite pause for a while. So you have at the peak of this shit, it wasn't even just a peak, but like when this shit really hit to where like, yeah, there's no fans in there, but it's like, bro, people were literally dying off of this shit. So the fact that we even got a WrestleMania to where they were like, yo, we're rolling the dice, we're taking a risk, we're going to try to put on the show for you guys. We can't do the fans and stands because we literally cannot. Like everywhere shut down all at once. Like I remember when they had to go, like, because our show in DC ended up becoming the last show before they shut everything down. So it was like the fact that we got anything for WrestleMania, I'm going to give them that. Plus, that was the first year they did the 2 nights where they're like, you know what? We're not going to do 1 night. We're going to split into 2 nights. They got creative. That's how you get the cinematic match. That's how you get the stuff with Bray Wyatt, John Cena, and you also get the Boneyard match with Taker and AJ. But then they also had some solid matches like Charlotte Rhea. Even with no crowd, it's actually a solid match that has storytelling in there.
I always wish that. Oh, go ahead.
And then they have other matches like, again, the Fatal 5-Way with Bayley, Sasha, I believe it was Naomi, Tamina, and Lacey Evans. That had storytelling in there and foreshadowing, which eventually came to fruition at the end of that Golden Role Models thing. But they had some solid matches, and you got to give it to the talent where it's like, they're busting their ass with no one in there. And they've all talked about how that was an experience beyond itself because they're not used to that. So I'm going to give that gets like the biggest mulligan in the world.
Yeah, I had always wished that they would have found a way to implement crowds. You know, because remember everybody was flying off the seat. Then, you know, like, okay, WWE try this, then the NBA tried this, then WWE tried that. So I was fine with it, didn't hate it, you know. I always just wish they kind of just, you know, I wish it would be easier to rewatch because it's hard to watch now, but it's like, dang, man, you know, but it's, you know, that time, you know, we was living in bubbles, literally bubbles, like don't let more than 3 people around. Don't let more than 5 people in your circle.
You could not go outside without a mask.
Well, remember, if you went to the store, nobody was going outside, period. It was like driving through ghost towns unless you was an essential worker.
And I worked, and mind you, I remember that because I remember I was considered an essential worker from working at Home Depot. Like when I tell you, niggas was outside in lines waiting to go get like toilet
We had to
paper.
get the mask
Because they ShopRite ran out of toilet paper,
then
then Target ran out of toilet paper, and people found out we actually sold masks. So you had to walk in there and sell masks, and we could not close. So I remember like people like running down the street and not seeing nothing else open but like a Target or us or anything else was weird as it was.
Those 5 a.m. store.
My bad, Justice.
We need a word when y'all do this shit.
Nah,
Because
all I
you're
said
throwing me off. Because all I see you is doing this. No, that's not gonna work. I need like verbiage.
I just learned this.
Like start saying money.
Well, that's what the button is for.
No, I needed like a word to cut me off. I'm talking about because I'm talking a mile a minute and y'all not saying nothing. I'm just talking. You need to be like
beat me
Monet.
to it, so I couldn't do the money. No, all I said was like I was adding to Sienna's point of like, bro, I remember them stores open at 5 or 6 a.m. and to do those fucking drops when like, yo, I gotta go in there for toilet paper or bottled water and get the fuck right back. Those are real.
That's when all this curbside crap started. BB, you're muted.
But it makes me happy because it's like at least we got 2 nights out of it. Like it was 2 things. It was almost like waking up. I remember on Twitter waking up on Sunday being like, oh, we have another. Like it's still WrestleMania. Like it's not over.
And they eventually learn from that and be like, all right, let's at least throw the NXT crowd in there and just throw like the hockey glass around so no one touches anyone. Okay, maybe we could one up this because we're good on this tech shit. And then boom, the birth of the Thunderdome. So like eventually it got better when they figured it out, but it took a while. Like trust. I was trying to watch NBA. You know how weird it is to watch an NBA game with no fans, or even worse, a Champions League. You're actually watching a soccer game with 0 fans in the crowd, but you have the fans outside the stadium going ape shit.
They had a WrestleMania, and I'm sorry, they had a Super Bowl with no fans. Like the Weeknd performed in front of like no one, like a bunch of styrofoam board. When you think about it,
they had cardboard cutouts in the stands to make it look like people were there.
Right.
I used to go.
What a wild
I was working
time.
those games. I used to go like take selfies with them just because, like before the games would start. And then the worst
Brian knows those are the things.
Those speakers. That was the worst because it's just loud.
Really?
Like, yeah, and it's like right there near your ear. It's terrible. Not good for football. Not good for football.
Yeah, so 36
Mercedes
gets
on
a
commentary
mulligan.
is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Statlander.
Let me put.
She look good. Even on commentary, I love her outfit. Okay, girl.
Me too. She looks
10.
It is. It's giving half Cardi, half Nikki.
Guest commentary. Like she knows how to. She's bringing. Like she has a PhD in sports entertainment, and she's bringing it to AEW. Like she's about to elevate. I don't think people understand how much she is going to elevate this company. Fuck just the women's division, but like everything.
Mm-hmm. She's had a decade of on-the-job training.
Yep. And the good thing is in this situation, like she's in control. Like she's not going into already established machine. Like she's coming in and can be, like actually make changes and actually be like, no, do it this way. And they might actually be like, oh, listen to Mercedes. She know.
Coming back home.
Yeah.
And then
they always come back home.
And then the cool shit about this, is she's not hot-shotting her way straight to the top title. Right. Like she's using her star power for a mid-card feud for a mid-card title. Like she could be like, fuck all this. I want to go straight after Tony and make a statement, but it's like, nah, I still got beef with Willow, but let me let these other women cook. And that's benefiting Chris Statlander, that's benefiting Willow, that's benefiting Sky Blue and whoever else is in this match.
Dynamite as a show, because then it's like the stories keep going and going and going, and it's like
I think easily this is a format for her to also be the head of Collision, because Collision needs help. Collision's been good, but they all, like with her on Collision too, it could liven up the Saturday show. And there's even rumors, I mean, if they do move it, she's going to be the face of that no matter what.
I mean, that gives,
in my opinion,
the crew a reason to watch that show alone, because wherever Mercedes goes, the fans are definitely tuning in.
Exactly. and their main star is not there. And the collision's kind of been like a up and down, but lately they're trying. So if she goes there, it's going to be it would be like a big push. She's talking about how she don't trust Willow.
That's the beauty of it.
I mean, I wouldn't after she
Like,
held
I
that
don't
chair
trust
like
that
Jocelyn
smile.
Hernandez last week. I'd be pissed too. I'll be Mimi Foss like looking over
Like
my
the
shoulder
Puerto
like
Rican, like the Puerto Rican princess.
you coming for Stevie?
He coming-
Is that why you got the chair?
I mean, yo, that me she was like, I mean, how long does it take for you to answer for the Puerto Rican princess? You pendejo. Like,
Hey maid, I see you got your maid outfit on. I was like, this fucking bitch.
Yo, she is a menace.
Oh my god, I've tried to trade her so many times from the Latino delegation, and people trade her back. Like, no,
No, but apparently, because she's like, didn't she like knock Natalie Nunn's wig off? Didn't she like redeem herself from this recent like whatever they had going on?
Oh, she went at the chin killer?
Yeah, she like
The
knocked
chin?
her wig off during like something they were doing.
Yes.
So now they let her back in. We try.
She went after the chin. God bless her. She did one thing right.
Ooh. Willow just okay, Willow.
Okay.
Willow said, "You said you got beef for me. It's so come on."
She's like, I'm watching.
But I like, you know what I like though? I like that they're building off of what happened between them and New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yes,
I like that.
is dope.
I like that.
So keeping on WrestleMania, besides the Bianca match, favorite Sasha WrestleMania match?
Damn, if I'm taking away Bianca.
Yeah.
Oh,
simple. The triple threat. Like they won the tag title.
Exactly. Naomi and Sasha definitely won the tag team title. Their entrance was cool. The match was really high octane in itself. For it being a women's match, it was very high octane. I think that's why they wanted more of those type of matches. But them winning was ultimate. Like, and then you had Bianca win. Like after that, it was just like a black girl magic.
That was Oh, you got that photo at the end.
You got the pop up girl theme going.
Black women. Oh.
Black excellence.
Black excellence.
But nah, it was beautiful.
But if we can't say the Bianca match, then it has to be WrestleMania 32. It has to be her, Charlotte, and Becky. The fucking enormous pressure on those three women, especially when we're taking away the Divas title and giving you the women's championship. We're now no longer calling you Divas, we're calling you superstars. But we're putting all the other women in the tag match on the pre-show and giving you guys not only center of attention, because remember, like the promos and the marketing, like they were front and center with like Roman and Taker and everything else, but then they also put them dead center in the middle of that card, and they gave them time, which is something that they didn't do. So not only are we finally going to defend these titles for the first time in like 7 to 8 years, we're going to give you time. We're putting you all over the advertisements and the marketing. We're putting you in the center of WrestleMania 32 on this card. Deliver or else. And they fucking deliver, and that's why you've seen from 32 on, you always see a horsewoman in one of these matches, because they quickly develop that trust and that faith in management to like, book all four of them. They don't miss.
They're your workhorses. Of course, it'd be weird without, and I give them credit. You know what I like about that modern era? They could have easily pulled like a John Cena with one of those women. No, you have a WrestleMania continuously where it's featuring women where at least not only is one of them involved in some capacity and they're each other's dance partners, but then they go on to boost the other women in the division. Like it never had to be. It could have been like Bayley and Sasha again, but instead it's her and Naomi. It could have easily been Sasha winning and beating Bianca, but it's Bianca taking that over. It could have been Bex beating Bianca, but it's easily Bianca. It could have been, they could have gave it to, if Charlotte Flair and Becky wanted to say, hey, we want tag titles, they could have easily stolen that moment from the Iconics. You would have, in some way, shape, or form, have all the women involved, not just the four horsemen, which was everybody's concern. I know that was the discourse, like, why are we always featuring those four, blah, blah, blah. It's always going to be discord, right? But then they meet up, it was like, okay, you want everybody? Fine. We'll give you everybody. And all those WrestleManias would feature eventually them, but it will also shine on the other women, which is what I like. And that means something. Because, like I said, easily could have been Charlotte's the Gold Goose, Becky's the golden goose. Bailey's the golden goose. One of them, all of them could have been golden gooses, but some way, somehow, shape, or form, the women shine. Even up to Naomi winning in her hometown of Orlando.
Yeah.
Yep.
Think about that.
I agree. Yeah, I would have to say 32 just because of the significance of it all. And then hearing them talk about it makes me appreciate the moment for them even more.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wind down, and I want to hear now from everyone in our VIP in the comments one last favorite or memorable for you WrestleMania moment. Whether you were there, whether it's a match, whether it's an entrance. What are some of those WrestleMania moments that had you just like, this is some good shit right here. I love WrestleMania.
Ooh, I have one immediately in mind. You want me to go first?
Yes.
So let me take you to WrestleMania 35. Let me take you to a time for those who were not in attendance for Kofi Mania. The video package, the hype from Wale Mania, and those videos going viral. Everything leading up to that, and then Kofi coming out with New Day. You have Daniel Bryan back in wrestling, doing fantastic work as a heel, the planet's champion. And then we get this match. And when I tell you everyone in the fucking stadium was locked in for this match, beginning, middle, end. And then when Kofi beats Bryan, I'm always going to remember where I was sitting in that second tier under one of the video jumbotrons. The place goes apeshit. If it was in the Superdome, it would have blew the roof off. Like literally, you see grown ass men, women, and children crying, hugging each other. Like this was like watching a family member win the championship. But it's Kofi, and I've seen grown ass people even in my section. Like we were hugging people and dapping people up. Like yo, Kofi did it. It didn't matter. Like Byron Saxton put it over perfect. Like it didn't matter your race, your background, all that shit. Like everyone was so genuinely happy. And then you go back and I think immediately of another video that went viral of Shad Gaspard and MVP. Where MVP's in tears and Shad's trying to console him, but Shad's trying to hold it back.
That was at Legends, by
that
the
was at
way.
Legends.
And what that moment meant for Kofi, not just to win that title, but we were all on this roller coaster. But I've never seen that many adults, children. It didn't matter who the fuck. We were just hugging and celebrating and just taking it in. I've never ever seen that at a wrestling show before that or since that.
That is one
we were in the
match
bar.
I was there for. It was. Oh my god, I have chills just thinking about it because blasphemy. But I was rooting for Daniel Bryan. Because I loved heel Daniel Bryan. I love the
love Fickle and that
fucking
recyclable title belt.
Yes, everything, all of it. I loved everything about it. Like everything about it.
That was a great run.
The moment he won, Kofi won, like it did. Like I didn't expect the emotion. Like something hit me, and I was first of all, it was just a really good match. First of all, the build up, everything you said, Justin. But when Kofi actually won, like I was like, oh my god, like this is beautiful. Like I can't. I'm fickle because I'm so happy he won.
And then Big E and Xavier go out and get the actual title. They're like, we're not giving you this planet shit. You're getting the title. and then they get Kofi's kids, and Kofi's kids are holding the fucking like.
God, it's New Day's reaction, Big E and Xavier Woods, that get me every time because they can't hold their emotion back. And beautiful.
It was a perfect match.
Ooh.
It was.
Sidebar, we're getting to stare down with Mercedes and Julia Hart.
She really back on TV, y'all.
It's so beautiful.
Like, this is amazing.
It's so beautiful.
How are we more interested in the TBS division than a world title division?
Right.
What I like is that you don't know where she's standing. She's standing on what she's there for. And it's an unfinished business. That's what I'm liking about this whole angle. And it's like, finally, thank you. This is how, even if the TBS championship is featured this way, feature it this way.
So, something funny
So-
today.
At least you're featuring it.
My dad
Is that
just
way?
texted me because he told me that he's also living the Mercedes moment, and he turns on AEW and she's on. And he said these 4 women were actually good. I thought this show was whack. Talking about AEW, like it's not whack no more.
The shade. Tell your father I said
The
the shade.
That's just
You
what
should text him
The
back and be like,
shade.
Pop, AEW stands for All Elite Women.
All right, I'm turning that off because I'm done with that. Anyways,
All
But-
right.
talk about moments,
AEW was
right?
great tonight. I appreciated it.
But yeah, Brian, tell us about your moment.
Oh man. I gotta go back to the night of WrestleMania 18. I'm sitting there watching it with my mother, and it's like kind of like, you know, P said with her dad telling her, you know, let her know when Mercedes on. My mother's like, let me know when that Hogan Rock match come on. I said, all right, cool. So we came in from church watching WrestleMania, and I said, mine ain't gonna be on until like it's gonna be the last match. It's not. It's the middle of the card. Daylight's still outside, and I'm like, oh, the match about to come on. She's like, oh, okay. So she comes upstairs. We're watching the match, and it's just like quiet. It's tense, and of course, I'm rooting for Hogan, right? All of a sudden, The Rock does this comeback, and my mother jumps the screen. Now that anybody knows about the reason why I became a Hulkamaniac is literally because of my mother. So she goes, I turn around like, what are you doing? What you rooting? She hit me with the answer of all answers. The Rock is black. And I was like,
listen, your
can't
mother
even-
and my grandmother sit in the same damn boat.
it was the first time ever she had ever rooted against Hulk Hogan. And I always just remember just that moment. You know, and the match, you know, I just sit back. That and the Kofi Mania matches. 2 matches are like non-negotiable, must watch during WrestleMania season. They're matches you have to watch with the volume up because of the crowd reaction. Like Justin pointed out, in the Kofi Mania moment, Byron Saxton, if he never has another moment like that in his career, you know, that was his definitive call. You know, like JR has the Austin era has just begun, you know, that like, you know, but even with JR saying, you know, Jerry Lawler said we never got Tyson Ali, we never got Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds, but we're going to get Hogan and Rock. And that's the dynamic of how big this was, like something we never thought we would get. You know, like Rock is a young in Young Rock, he's a young boy when Hogan's running wild.
Right. I gotta say, rewatching that a few times as an adult, like that can arguably be like one of the, this is gonna sound so crazy, but it can be considered like one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. Like WrestleMania matches as well, but just because of the significance of it and the crowd turn, like that are like if you watch that match, like it's like if you want to teach somebody that wants to learn how to wrestle or tell like how to work a crowd, like
Yeah,
like they could study that match, because you could almost see like how they change the match like as it's going on because of the crowd, because like this turn is wild. Like I know Hogan is so problematic, but I encourage everyone, like, if you just need like a jolt to the system, like if you have like wrestling fatigue, or you're just like, why the fuck do I like this shit? Watch that match, because it has everything that like this sport is like all about, in my opinion.
There's WrestleMania matches and there's WrestleMania moments, and Hogan Rock is just a pure. If someone's never watched a WrestleMania match, that's the one you got to show them first, and then show them like a Austin Brad or Sean Taker or those like next. But it's like, this shows you the pageantry of WrestleMania, and then I'm gonna take you to a great WrestleMania match. And Hogan Rock is a great WrestleMania match, but that's more like the moment, the history, prime Rock. Hogan's still like good. He hasn't pissed us off yet. Like that's a moment.
It is such a moment. I think one that sticks out for me, just because growing up, was WrestleMania 14, because it was like the turn. It was like now everything is different now. Like, and then everything with how it was in the mainstream. Like, this was when you picked up a paper and you might just see like Mike Tyson and everyone, or like you hear it on the news, because Mike Tyson was just so polarizing and popular at the time. Like, I don't think, wow, I sound so old, but like, I don't think kids these days will understand what it meant to be like a viral celebrity before social media, because it was one of those situations where it's like you went to the barbershop, they were talking about Mike Tyson. If you went into the supermarket, people were talking about him. The magazine stands had him. The news had him. So the fact that now we're talking about Mike Tyson, but now we're talking about him as a part of WrestleMania. So just feeling that buzz like almost everywhere you went. And then it was like that whole mystery of he's wild too. Like, what's he gonna do? Like, Stone Cold's wild. Like, you know, like that whole lead up to that. I think that's my first WrestleMania season where the build up was just so like, oh my God, this is like the coolest thing ever. So I think when I think about WrestleMania, I think about
around that time, man. Like, it was just like, you know, damn, lack of cable. Because every time I look at, like, when I go back, I did an Attitude Era binge watch. I didn't finish yet, but just that build up to WrestleMania 14 was like, wow. Did y'all watch any of the YouTube videos that WWE been putting together? Like, you know how they always do that compilation and they got like Ultimate WrestleMania matches. Like, I'll have it as like background noise. And today was Kane and Undertaker's match.
I like how they've been doing that. Like those like live streams. Seindole, did you give your Ultimate WrestleMania moment?
No, I mean, I feel like no matter what, in my heart, 18 will always stick out the most, because of course, like, everybody knows me, I was a big Team Extreme fan. Only because of Lita, and then her and Trish are like my favorite feud. But then when they entered the element of Jazz, who was just like weeks before was on like, if you're pretty, I'm knocking you the fuck out. If you're pretty, I'm knocking you the fuck out. You may be the rocker chick, but bitch, you can get it too. And she was on this rampage like, I'm knocking all you bitches out. So to have the three of them be involved, and I understand everybody was so big on like rocking and Hogan. I get that. It was icon versus icon. You can't stay away from that. But just them having their own match after years of WrestleManias where not a lot of them had their own matches or had any type of involvement whatsoever, it just spoke volumes to me. Like, for that triple threat to happen, and then the cream of the creme is that Jazz fucking wins. Like, I just, like, for me, being young and being young, and it was like, you really, like, your two favorite, like, kids, your two popular girls, you let like the juvenile beat the popular kids. Like, you let somebody that looks like me win at like a big stage like that. Like, it was a big deal for me, especially when I was younger. I just remember like I remember Billy and Chuck was like the dumbest thing ever. But them becoming like, they had what did they have, like a friendship commitment ceremony?
Yeah,
and Stephanie McMahon was like the preacher, or like the what's the name, and then it turned off. The Eric Bischoff was like, somebody say 3 minutes.
Had really sent them stuff.
Yeah, and they just continued with it. And then on top of that, they had like Devon as a preacher, which I was like, damn, they really like trying it. But that was really good. I remember just like, and of course, like Triple H, like being Triple H, just being the belt collector, you know, that he was back then, racking up and winning the undisputed. Say it again.
That's another Jericho failure.
I know that was because mind you, remember the fact that his wife was in his like opponent's corner and he still fucking lost. I was just
bring the club down.
You had that man's woman in somebody else's corner and been a divorce, and you still lost. Come on, bro. Like, you can't. But for me,
you know one thing about that women's match too, it was so good. But you also saw Trish Stratus go to another level. Now,
I know
I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I did not want Trish Stratus to win that match in Toronto. Hometown.
I
She
think
had
we
the
all
gear.
did back
We all
then.
did secretly.
And now we appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way you saw her go to another level, because like you said, Jazz was not holding back, and she
Oh, no.
made Christian Lita rise to the occasion. Like, okay,
yeah.
y'all been doing this cute shit here, but you got to roll with me, and that's what made that match beautiful. It's a underrated because of the women's matches we're getting now.
Mm-hmm.
It's an underrated match, but you know, you might
But
read about
remember,
it next
like
week.
I said, you have to imagine like a young me turning that on and being able, like, okay, parents are finally gonna let you watch WrestleMania because you never get allowed to watch wrestling. And I'm sitting there with my brothers, and for there to be like a women's match to where the point where an African, like, it's beyond, it's like what these little kids feel about Bianca is what I got then. Like, to see Jazz come above it all, like, she made bitches work. So, and then like both of them work to the caliber that you never see. It's go down in history as one of the most notable women's matches of all time in WrestleMania because of that. So you had that, and then you had everything else. Like I said, it was a card that was just, if you had to have a rushed card that had a little bit of build up, that women's match had a build up because, like I said, Jazz was just coming in like, I'm tired of you pretty bitches. I'm knocking you out. I'm knocking you out. I'm knocking you out, and I'm taking that belt from you. Even like having, you know, Teddy Long speak for her, you spoke volumes. Her presence spoke volumes. So to me, that just stuck out as somebody who was like a baby, because I can't use the F word anymore. Somebody who was like young and was like, okay, I can really grow to love this now. I appreciate that match 1000%.
Just to try to figure
I'm trying
out.
to think of the F word.
We gonna let that ride.
We gonna let, yeah, no. Yeah, I'm not allowed to say anymore. Y'all put it in the box.
We both looked at it.
That, and I was like,
what you putting
that
about?
too.
The
But
F
like,
word.
it started like the craziest. What I call it is the craziest Intercontinental Champion run of all time after Rob Van Dam won at that WrestleMania. Because if you look at the history of the Intercontinental Championship, you'd be like, what the fuck happened? Like, from there, if you look at from Rob Van Dam winning all the way down to like
What the fuck happened there?
the next WrestleMania, like, what the hell is going on? So just keep that in mind.
I'm thinking of like past Intercontinental Champions where that was like held in like only the most prestigious held the
Yeah,
IC
because it
title.
was Regal that he took it from, and then after that it was Rob Van Dam and his hippie self. And then when you go down the line, you're like,
His hippie
whoa.
self?
He was. Remember, he was like, "It's called cool, bro. If I don't win," he was like, "Because everybody's coming to see RVD." I was like, "Dude, shut up." But again, good match.
No wonder he
But
does
look
that.
at the history.
This
Look at-
shit.
Yeah, but look at the history of the IC Championship post that win.
Damn, Eric Bischoff's Strictly Business is going out of business.
Really?
No.
Yeah, just that podcast. John Alba tweeted it 38
Oh
minutes
man,
ago.
damn.
Well,
I don't know about 83 weeks. But Strictly Business is going. I guess they keep 83 weeks. It was a good run.
Damn,
was a
Karsha
good
got some
one.
really good
It was the best of
moments.
times. It was the worst of times.
let's talk about some of Rakarsha's moments. Thank you.
I mean, the first one is Avi, Sasha Bianca main event in WrestleMania, but then Becky Lynch winning the main event. Say what you want about that match at 35. That was a moment for Becky Two Belts.
Oh yeah, because nobody was expecting her to become Becky Two Belts. Let's be real about that part.
And then
While we're
China,
here.
China being Ivory at WrestleMania 17. We talked about this, but
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that too.
I enjoyed that too. It was China
Even though
finally
y'all
got
want to
getting
come
her
for me,
comeuppance.
y'all want to come for me about right to censor.
Yeah, because you like them.
Okay, so what?
I like them too.
Thank you, P. God damn it, they were good for TV. Listen to the
That's why
fact that I
Godfather
learned.
quit.
No,
Godfather quit WWE
you
for
quit,
that.
yeah, but to remember what
'Cause he
that was
missed
for.
selling
If you
homes.
had to tell you had to tell the people that employ you, if you had to give them a FU to all the shit they're saying is bad, and you want us to censor shit, we got your censor. Boom. I think it was smart. I think it was Mr. Redacted being petty Betty, and guess what? I was here for the petty.
See, I'm gonna make me go back and really watch Right to Censor.
You have
stuff.
you have to appreciate Right to Censor. They were inappropriate. No, they were appropriately inappropriate. That's what I said they were.
Maybe because
they
I'm
were
now older and mature, I can look at this without the fog goggles of like take me back to high school when this was like real
it was
time.
pure. It was for
They were the EVPs.
Yeah, they were. Yes, they were the EVPs. They were. It was the start of the Karen movement. Let's put it that way. They were the original Karens,
Wow,
and
that's
they
funny.
were because they were in everybody's shit. Everybody.
That's good. That's going in the notes. The Karen movement.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, we gotta. We're, as Tony Schiavone would say, we're running out of time.
This was a good look back on some moments that we don't talk about a lot. And then it's a perfect topic just going into next week. Just looking back and appreciating.
Yeah.
It makes me excited for next week. Can't believe it. First Fest, we just
I'm gonna
talked
get
about
to see y'all.
we just talked about New York adjacent WrestleMania. Some of my first New York. It's gonna be my first out of town WrestleMania, even though it's down I-95, and I'm too excited. I'm finally going to do a full round of the big four, y'all.
Oh
Yes.
my
About
God, that makes me so happy.
I have deadass been looking forward to this WrestleMania since
They
last
continue
year when you Brian, and you Krista went to LA, and I was like, I'm gonna have FOMO, especially for Wale Mania.
We
Philly.
missed you so much.
Last year, ever since last year, Mania, even during Mania, it was like Philly.
Because you ain't
Yeah.
want to fight that non-existent traffic you talked about.
And that's crazy. You guys were when you guys told me there was no traffic, I was like, well, damn. Where'd they put this stadium? And I have to realize where they put it. And I said, oh snap! I forgot they put it in like the
Well,
far
it's more
end
than the
Inglewood.
traffic. It was that it's like Dallas was like doable. LA prices was like you paying at least double.
But I will give LA credit. Without me skipping LA, I wouldn't be able to afford Philly. So cheers to that part.
That part.
Right there.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. So much going on. Get to see you.
So much going
Get to hang
on.
out with the three bestest friends that anybody can have.
Family getting back together.
I get to do VIP in Wale Mania for once. I'll be like, I'm a little somebody.
I got something that says, that says I'm not a whore, but I'm not a virgin either. So you know I'm excited about Wale Mania. Especially that especially since I know somebody who's on the flyer. I know 2 people on the flyer. Well, I know 3 people on the flyer. So you know, all the famous people that I know, Brian. It's gonna be fun to hang out with everybody and see everybody and just have a good time.
Good ass time. Okay, well, in that case, if I've pumped my WrestleMania guide already, but please save it for reference. It's going to be very useful. And where can everyone find my wonderful crew?
You can find me on all social media platforms at It's Justin Rich. You can find me here Wednesday nights live on Those Wrestling Girls Twitch channel for TWG Fan Club. Myself and these 3 amazing, beautiful, intelligent, inappropriate co-hosts of mine.
Hey, there we go.
You can catch me Tuesday nights, Twitter Spaces on Black Wrestling's handle for Turnbuckle Talk, aka The Buckle. Myself, Mimi, and Corey, we talk all things wrestling. You can catch me from time to time on True Elite Sports and True Heel Heat Wrestling. Both of those channels are located on YouTube. We talk sports, wrestling, and all that fun stuff. We here, we outside for Mania Week. We are active. Philly, be good to us.
Yes, be good to us.
All right. So I'm gonna drop a couple of fan club exclusives here. After I tell y'all can find me at Brian H. Waters on all social media platforms, breaking through glass ceilings and Wrestling Realm tonight. And make sure you check out this week's episode Wednesday Worldwide, because we got into Jade Cargill promising big shit on SmackDown. We also talked about Becky Lynch saying her contract still hasn't been signed for an extension. So we gave the percentages of her moving on, and we couldn't choose 0. So you got to listen to that. But more importantly, we had the only Kaz on to talk Wale Mania. And he also dropped an exclusive, but it's buried in the show because I ain't make a social media clip. So you got to listen to it to find out what he talk about. But next week, we'll be on Sports After Dark, only because it's my mentee and her great co-host, and that's the only reason why I told her I would do the show while I was in Philly briefly. So shout out to them. But I'll also be recording with Fox Sports Philly Gambler So Fox Sports Philadelphia affiliate, I'll be
Nice.
on there. Talk WrestleMania, and
Yay.
of course talking with Lyndon down in Lafayette, Louisiana, doing our annual pay-per-view, but we're gonna do a pay-per-view preview. So that's all I'm doing. So make sure y'all follow me. And now it is time for you to hear from my sister, who has the hottest show on Tuesday nights.
Stop. Making me blush out here for my intro, my outro. Stop. As per usual, like my brother said, is your honorary wrestling girl, Seindole B. You can catch me here every Wednesday with the 3 best friends that anybody can have, which on my wall, I'm gonna post my little weekly picture. I did update the wall. It's a little blurred out, but we got some big memories up there. If you know them, you know them. If you don't, that's your FOMO. You can catch me here with them every Wednesday where we have the topics. So getting ready for WrestleMania, so much to do. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain. We are definitely getting ready for the biggest real pre-show in WrestleMania, which is Stand and Deliver on Watch What Happens NXT. I want to shout out Mr. Cornell Gunther for stepping into the chat. Great conversation about NXT. Great pre-show, gave us a little bit of insight on what it takes to really be at NXT. He used to work for WWE, for those who don't know, before he was doing video game shit. Also talked about Next Gen and what it's like to really be trying out for the WWE. So if you didn't get that stream, the conversation is live and direct on Those Wrestling Girls streaming platforms, will be uploaded on my personal YouTube the next following days. Also, big shout out to everybody who's been watching. I got a couple of people from England.
Yeah, buddy.
So
Oh,
we're getting out there. The
She
words
in it.
turning. We in it. We in it. We in.
Baby.
If you can watch What Happens NXT also is on Instagram. So please make sure you follow it. That's Watch What Happens NXT, not next. It's next without the E. So make sure you follow me there. And also, we getting ready for a pre-show. So guess what that means? It's another watch along Tuesday night. So the fan club might be showing up. The school in session kids might be showing up. Your mama might be showing up. Everybody must be showing up. But I do have a special guest coming on again. So just stay tuned, stay live, and stay direct because you don't want to miss on that. And also, I told P to add it to her guide. Make sure you get them earplugs. If you go deaf in Lincoln Financial, ain't nobody giving you your eardrums back. So make sure you buy your earplugs. Make sure you get your gear, your sneakers, your portable chargers. Read Patricia's guide and get ready because WrestleMania is next motherfucking week. Let's go.
Reading the guide, you better read it. It's not negotiable.
Better read it.
And the guide is updated.
Yes,
it is updated. And I gotta still update it because there's a fashion event now. I'm hearing there's other little essentials that people should rack up on. So yeah, it's an ongoing document. So make sure you bookmark it. And for reference. But you can find me, Queen P.R, one half of Those Wrestling Girls, at Queen 3_PR on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Please check out our latest episode with the girls over at Wrestling is Too Much Fun podcast. And they are basically us over in the UK. Very fun conversation, very inspiring one. Check out their podcast. And we are going to be taking next week off because we will be in Philadelphia. Next week, this time, I'll be in Philadelphia. So we will be taking the week off from TWG streaming. So just follow all of us on social media. Keep up with our travels because we are going to be turning up and we want to share it with all of you. So follow us, read the guide. If you're in Philly, say hello. It's going to be a turn up. We're also streaming tomorrow night for Thirsty Thursday. And that's pretty much kind of going to be the kickoff of the kickoff because it's kind of all of us just blowing off steam before this wild week in Philadelphia. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight for TWG Fan Club. Anyone that is new, we are here usually every Wednesday, except for next Wednesday, but usually every Wednesday between 7 and 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And we talk about all things wrestling and we love it. And we cannot wait to come back and recap our fantastic week when we are back in the fan club. Hashtag TWG Fan Club. And we will see everyone either in Philly and if not, next week.
See you guys next week.
week.
Mwah.